baby. Oh, hold up, I gotta adjust this lighting real quick. Are we feeling blue again? I did that already, right? Tropical twilight, Savannah sunset. Nah, it's basic. This EDC lighting that I took. Okay, I kind of like that. The TV up a little bit, floor lamp, shelf light, random light in front of my face. Boom! We got light, ambience, is that what the fuck? What? Ambiance lighting? Whatever. We're good now. Is this bothering y'all that my head's getting cut off? Like it's bothering me? What's up, everybody, friends, family, strangers, interneters, anybody who's watching this video on YouTube right now? If you're here, I appreciate you stopping by. Please give this video a like if you find the content interesting. If you feel like you want to subscribe, by all means, be my guest. Be my guest, be my guest. I don't know if that's how it goes. So the whole point of this video is because I was scrolling through my Instagram feed one day, right? The whole feed was jacked. I didn't see a single picture that I liked. I liked pictures because I knew what the person was trying to convey to me. Their kid or their pet or whatever the hell. But the picture was garbage. It was just trash. So I thought I would make this video for y'all guys. This whole video is how to take better pictures. Mainly take better pictures with your phone. I'm not saying that y'all take bad pictures on the constant, and I'm not saying that everybody takes terrible pictures on the best photographer of all time. Not at all. But some people just don't know the fundamental elements behind photography. It's not really about the camera. It's more about the user and how you just bring the photo to life. The more pleasing to the eye, the more people are gonna like your picture, the more you're gonna like your picture. No one wants to frame a shitty picture. See, and the problem is you might not know you're taking bad photos. You might realize that your photos are not professional quality because obviously those are up here and yours are down here, and this is where most people are at. But you can elevate your photos away from most people up here and make them stand out without really doing anything other than learning some of the basic rules of photography, which is the whole point of this video. You can only do so much with Instagram and Snapchat filters in order to make your photos look good. You can't bake a shit cake and put really nice icing on top of it to try and hide it. The icing looks nice, but everybody knows that that icing is there to hide a shit cake. And that's the same thing for photography. So let's go ahead and get into some of the basics. The first one is composition. Composition is so important. So here are some of the common composition mistakes that I see. These are pet peeves of mine when I see them, by the way. Number one, cutting heads off. So when I mean cutting heads off, I mean like this. Where's my forehead? Like, why am I up here? What is it really that important that you see my chest? If I'm right here like this is much more pleasing to the eye. Unless this is a once in a lifetime photograph where you like got to snap a picture with you and the Pope or something and you cut your head off on accident, like you left this part off. Who cares at that point? You just took a picture with the Pope, but most of the time it's not gonna be like that. Just relax, retake the picture. You don't want to be Jack the Ripper of photography, all right? You don't want to be cutting heads off for no reason. He had a reason for cutting people's heads off. You don't. Next is going to be cutting people's shoes and feet off. If there's one pet peeve that I have in all of photography, it's people who take full body photos and cut the person's shoes out of the picture. Unless this person lost their feet altogether, chances are they probably have, some kind of prosthetic anyway, so you would want to get that in. That's part of their character. And you know what it really stems down to? They try to get the person's face in the center of the frame, put the face up into the top third of the picture. A person's eyes are naturally going to be drawn to the face, whether it's in the center of the frame or whether it's at the top of the frame. But at the top of the frame, at least you can see the entire body. Number three, too much dead space in the frame. Be cognizant of the space inside of the picture. You don't want to put the person that you're trying to center right here because one, we're cutting the head off, and two, even though you can see my body, there's no point in this being right here. That's really it when it comes to the composition of people. It's easy to take a terrible picture of landscapes. So here are some general guidelines for landscapes. Stop taking landscape photos horizontally. Landscapes are wide, that's why panoramas exist. But if you're taking it like this, oops, my bad. it's not gonna look the way you want it to look, basically. Same thing for group pictures. Group pictures can fall in the same category as landscapes. Take group pictures sideways. If you take a group picture like this, they're gonna be too far in order for the subject to be, you know, presentable. When you go to crop that, you're losing pixels, and when you blow up less pixels, you might get something that's a little blurry, and that's not what you want for sure. Every parent takes photographs up here. Take pictures of your kids from their eye level. I know what your kid looks like from my eye height. I don't need to see a picture from my eye height. There is nothing pleasing to the eye about a photo looking down on a child. Best portraits you see of children are taken at their eye height. It's a perspective that you normally don't really see as a parent. Change the perspective of the camera. Whether it be a flat lay picture, whether it's gonna be, you know, a picture of your beer, which a lot of my friends take pictures of their beer on Snapchat and things like that. Low angles make subjects look bigger. Top angles make subjects look much smaller to the person who's viewing. We've seen it, but we've never seen it at this angle before, and that's intriguing to the eye. The main problem with not composing your photos or not taking the time to diligently think about how you're composing the picture is just that my eyes tend to wander, and so do yours. If you're not giving that eye guidance, it's just gonna kind of wander. In order to negate that, this next topic that I'm gonna bring up is one of the most simple, basic rules of all time, and that's the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a basic composition technique used in many photographs, in many movies, in many TV shows. Whenever you see somebody pretty much right here, the photographer or the director is using the rule of thirds. There's something called a golden ratio or a golden spiral. You've seen it without even knowing that you've seen it. Here are some examples. Boom, 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 boom. These are just some examples of the rule of thirds. Your camera has a built-in rule of thirds setting that you might not even be aware of, and that's gonna be the camera grid on your phone. So for iPhone specifically, because obviously I have an iPhone, you go to the settings of your phone, go to camera, and when you get into the camera settings, there's gonna be one that says grid. Just swipe it on, and when you go to your camera app, there's gonna be lines that are gonna be pretty much on this screen. They're gonna be right here, and they're gonna be right here. It's extremely simple to use. There's gonna be a point right about here, right about here, right about here, and right about here. If you line your subject up when taking a photograph, generally speaking, you're gonna put them at the top two. It's gonna be way better of a photograph than anything you've ever taken just by putting your subject in these two little corners. So those are your basic guidelines when somebody is looking directly at the camera. If someone is not looking at the camera, you don't wanna align them dead center. You normally wanna align them at the furthest portion of the screen away from where they're looking. You want the viewer to be looking in the direction that your subject is looking. So if I'm looking this way, you want to give them all the space for me to lead the viewer's eye. Next is going to be landscapes. Landscapes are so easy to take good pictures of just by using the rule of thirds. So whenever you're taking a landscape picture, you want the horizon to either be on this bottom line or you want it to be on this top line. If you put it right here on this line, the sky is gonna have a whole lot of emphasis and it's gonna seem really big. If you put it right here on this top line, you're putting more emphasis on the ground and it feels more like an adventurous situation because you can see the ground leading up to somebody's feet. You don't need an iPhone, you don't need an Android phone, you don't need a SLR or a digital SLR in order to take these composition rules and make your photos better. Because I have an iPhone, I just kind of want to dive into some iPhone tips. So first off, not all photos need to be up and down. I personally a lot of the time prefer horizontal pictures because there's a lot more visually appealing to the eye this way than there is this way. You got buildings, you got people, you got background, you know, all these things where your eye can kind of go and have more interest than just the same sky you see every day or asphalt underneath your feet. Another tip, and this is really not really a tip, but just kind of like stop doing it. Stop using Snapchat as your main photo app. If you stop using Snapchat, your picture will be better in terms of just natural digital quality because the camera has a much better quality than the Snapchat app. This phone is almost $800, $850 for an iPhone 7 Plus. You're wasting the fact that you paid for two cameras. Another tip for iPhone users, a lot of people might not be aware of it. This might seem like common sense if you know about it, but if you don't, this might be something new to you, so I'm gonna mention it. It's gonna be the exposure slide when you're in the Apple camera app. Normally when you tap on the screen once, that's going to get you tap focus. It's gonna focus on wherever you tapped and use that as the main subject, but then there's a little sun that appears right next to it. And if you slide that sun up or down, you tap and hold on the sun and slide it up or down, it's gonna give you the option to overexpose when you slide up and up the exposure or underexpose when you slide down. And a pro tip, it's always better to underexpose a photo and brighten it when you edit than it is to overexpose a photo. Because once you overexpose a photo, that data is lost. There's no way to bring the brightness down and get that detail back. All right, this next one for iPhone users is a big one for me. This is like the gift and the curse for owning an iPhone, and that is the gift and the curse of portrait mode. People go crazy with portrait mode, thinking that their photos look amazing with this compressed and blurred background. A lot of times they don't look as good as you think. So let's just go over some portrait mode rules that I've created for my own photos, and if you want to use them for yourself, by all means do so. Rule number 1, and this is most important, do not take full body pictures in portrait mode. A portrait is normally from like chest up or like waist up. Basically, you don't see the whole body and you don't see the ground where the feet are touching. It's just background way far back. When your iPhone is doing this digitally, it's not actually giving you blur that's natural. Your iPhone is taking the far lens and the close lens and combining the data and blurring the background to what it thinks is natural. And whenever you take a full body shot and the camera cannot distinguish between the subject and then the furthest background available, it's gonna automatically give you an unnatural looking blur. The camera cannot differentiate between the foreground and the background. So if you're gonna use portrait mode, make sure you're actually taking a legitimate portrait from like shoulders up. This is a picture that I took of my goddaughter. This is a good picture in my personal opinion of a good photo using portrait mode. The background was far enough, the camera could differentiate between background and foreground, so it came out looking all right. Just because portrait mode is there and available does not mean that it's the best option for taking a picture. Portrait mode is not good in low light. If a video would look bad in low light, then chances are the portrait mode is gonna look bad as well. If you wouldn't take a video in the same light settings, don't use portrait mode. So something that I think is new in the newest update, iOS 11 or iOS 10 point whatever, is gonna be the fact that it has built-in real-time filters into the camera app. So if you turn on the camera app on the phone, if I swipe up right here, my camera app is right there. So if I pull up my camera app, if you swipe up, these are different filters that are available in real time. This is not anything that you need to edit. I think last but not least, the best thing to do is learn what the individual settings do as you edit, as opposed to just hitting the magic button and wondering, oh, why? Wow, that picture looked really good after I hit that, but I have no idea what happened or how it got like that. Here's an example. Here's a picture that I took of my dog, right? So if I click up here and hit edit, it's gonna try and make the photo as good as possible in terms of what it thinks it needs to look like. You also have the option of hitting this little setting right here, boom, and then here are some other options, and you can like adjust light automatically, and then if you want to like play around with the settings further, there's this little one right here, and you tap on that, and then here are individual light settings, and then if you tap on the screen you can see the prior setting and then where you're at right now. So learn how to play around with those. Really the main point of this video is just work on your composition. Composition is the biggest one. That's going to take your pictures to the next level automatically. But if you've stuck around the whole time and you got some use out of this video, feel free to share it. I'm sure you're tired of seeing shitty pictures on your Instagram feed as well. If you haven't subscribed, I normally try to do vlogs and things like that, but I haven't really done anything interesting with my life now that school's on right now. So I'm trying to make these kind of videos that'll help other people out while my vlogs are kind of on the down low. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for staying this long. And I just want to hope everybody has a great day or great night or great weekend whenever you're watching this. And peace out.